Today we're driving the all-new BMW X3. Is it now the best mid-size SUV? We're going to find out with Thomas and Autogefuehl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with, first of all, let's say base to mid trim. Later on also then the M Sport version, specifically the M50, the top petrol engine so far from the new generation. Later maybe more things to come. But starting here with the version that most people will actually get is this rather brighter look from the double kidney, huge double kidney indeed, then a rather closed look. It opens then on demand when there is cooling needed, and you can also get the optional illuminated double kidney. I think it looks really elegant and it works together well with the Tanzanite Blue color, a dark blue. A Thomas Blue, what we call here in Autogefuehl, would be a brighter one actually. The headlamps here matrix LED with the blue accentuations, and then also I really prefer this bright accentuation look. This is the base look indeed, so it will always look like this unless you go for the M Sport pack or you get an M50, and we'll later on check this one out for you in detail, how it looks different if you more want this menacing sport look or if you rather want this. And here then you can also see the bright contrast in the lower part around the windows. This also feels really nicely. Build quality on the outside is good. And you now have, so to speak, a more monolithic style. You don't have crossover wheel arches and so on. They try to minimize the design elements on the exterior. Then up to 21-inch wheels. These here are the 20-inch wheels. Well, they already look quite big, and maybe bigger is not that good for comfort. Base wheels would be 18-inch, and it's 4.76 m or 187 inches then in the total length. That's a tiny bit longer than the outgoing version. I think from the exterior wise it works very well. Or what do you think? It has split a lot of opinions, is polarizing, but I think this more monolithic look does suit the vehicle. Then the tail lamps are really large at the side, get a little bit slimmer than to the rear. Modern three-dimensional structure, and once again not too many design lines. This one and here, X320, they remove the I from the petrol engines because they don't want to get it confused with the all-electric models, for example. And so this one is a pure petrol engine, soon more to the engines and so on. Towing is either 1.5 tons for the plug-in or 2 tons then for the pure combustion engine models. And well, when we talk about the engines, follow me to the front. Let's get some clarification on that. Door closing sound already, by the way. It's really solid on the front part and also nice on the rear part. And you can see also that the door handles fold up to put up the hood. There we go, once, twice. With BMW it's always that you just pull it twice, and I think it's an easy system, so to speak, because you don't have to search anything in the front here. Nice how it's cut out here. And then there we go. This is a 2-liter 4-cylinder petrol engine. This will be then the base version. Different horsepower specs are available. The exact specs, what we have so far, are then in the pinned comment, also in the video description. The US version will already start with a little bit higher horsepower spec as the 30 X3 30. You have 2-liter 4-cylinder petrol, 2-liter 4-cylinder diesel, and 3-liter 6-cylinder petrol would be the M50. And also a 3-liter 6-cylinder diesel will be coming up later. The petrol plug-in hybrid is based here on the 2-liter 4-cylinder and will of course be very important if you want to some electric commuting locally or something, or if it has some tax benefits. And it has massively grown then in the battery size. That is the most important thing about the plug-in hybrid. Nice silver contrast here in the lower part, and towing is either 2 tons for the plug-in hybrid version or 2.5 tons for the pure combustion engine versions. Next to the base suspension, M Sportback or the M50 is then of course a sportier suspension. You can also order an adaptive suspension. We also drive it for you here today, and in the M50 it's an adaptive M suspension then with a sportier setup. And the turning indicators appear right there in the middle. That looks pretty fancy, doesn't it? And in the front they replaced the daytime running light. Yeah, I think light design wise, this all looks pretty stunning. Or what do you think? And how does the X3 look like with an M Sport pack, or if you go for the M50, exactly like this? Here more blacked out is also the M Sport Pack Pro. Here all the way closed, M logo, black accentuations in the lower parts, sporty look overall. Here once again with the illuminated kidney, which really looks cool when we are here under this bridge, protected from the rain. These are also 20-inch wheels in this M styling, so also a pretty cool look. And once again, this monolithic design here at the side profile, no contrasting wheel arches or whatever. Here we also have the frames here all the way blacked out, and also in the rear it continues in a sportier way. And the Autogefuehl fake exhaust police was successful, because with the all-new BMW X3 there is either no visible exhaust, it's underneath. Only the sport model, the M50 here, gets the visible exhaust pipes, and they also have a function, and 1, 2, 3, 4, together with this strong diffuser style in the lower parts. So tell me in the comments, would you go for an M50 model, or would you rather go for the base look? And this here is the M50, the 3-liter 6-cylinder engine, the famous one, inline 6-cylinder by BMW. Almost 400 horsepower, a little bit below that, 4.6 seconds in the acceleration figure to 1 kilometers an hour, or 4.4 seconds to 60 miles an hour. It's also a mild hybrid system, so all the engines are coming with a mild hybrid system now. And then there's also the plug-in hybrid, of course. And where do you get your car from depends on the engine. The M50 is always built in Spartanburg in the US. If you go for a plug-in hybrid, you always get one from the Rosslyn plant in South Africa. If you go for a smaller petrol engine or for the diesel, it depends. Some are built there, some are there. Then you don't really know before from which plant do you get one actually. Driver POV. This is here the animal-free steering in this modern form, and the material quality is really good, soft, yeah, well done. And then here you can control steering wheel. It's like a mix of real buttons and yeah, this one field. For the volume here, for example, here you can control things in the digital instruments that look like this actually, and shifting pedals are also available. What's pretty cool is always like the turning indicator just sounds awesome when you like put it in with some force right there. When you start up the vehicle, then the digital instruments also change to like that, and we can also check out the head-up display. There we go, now it's more in focus actually. So, and there you can also adjust the styles and so on. Here, pretty cool integration of the ambient lighting, that looks fancy. This is here a field actually, 2 smartphones, 2 times USB-C charging, but the inductive charging is just on the left side. And when the phone is charging here, see that? This ambient lighting signalizes, hey, phone is charging. That's a very nice effect. The climate unit is all the way then here in the screen, so plus and minus is here. Yeah, I do prefer the physical tiles, so I hate it that they removed that actually. There's like the in-depth climate menu. Other than that, you have this app view, which is always a little bit overload, I feel. Apple CarPlay and Auto, both wireless, but wireless only. You cannot connect with the cable. You can connect wireless and then charge with the cable. That will be possible. And the home screen, for example, and also here either the map, or there's also like a different home view available, whatever you want to configure it to. So the good thing is that the hardware behind it and the software itself is very reliable. Then the cup holders look really fancy, and they are also adaptive, X3 lettering. And then here, clicking sound, this is like this glass crystalline style manual volume jog, and this then the shifting lever. This in reverse in the front. My modes, you click here then to change the driving modes. I think it's always a little bit complicated in these new BMWs, because you click down there, then you have to click here. How often will you do that while driving? Oh, yeah, switching to sport mode. Yeah, wait a minute. Let's go to like we can do to efficient mode. Ooh, that's cool. It has different effects on different fields. So when I, for example, change, let's say to digital art, it changes here. And also let's go back to sport mode again, because this is like this red scheme. There we go, and it runs from the side and then to the middle. Yeah, this is a really nice effect, you know. And they had some catching up to do with Mercedes, who have been like all over with ambient lighting. So BMW said like, oh, we also want to do something with that. And another effect is, let's say I'm here on the relax mood. So, interesting. Now the panoramic roof shade is closing. This is a fixed panoramic roof with the glass but you can apply a real shade. That's at least good. So it's better as if there would be no shade or something like that, but you cannot open it. So here, look at that, relaxed mode, this is this color scheme. And now when I hit the turning indicators, hazard lights, there we go. Then you also have this flashing on the inside. So it's only for the hazard lights, not when you hit the turning indicator. That's, yeah, was just mispronouncing that. So here once again with the hazard lights, very cool effect, isn't it? So yeah, I mean, why not? You might say this is like a useless feature, but when you create some emotional feature in vehicles, something that is special, it always gives you something, you know. And they now, by the way, so when we were in the studio, it wasn't working yet because of a pre-production vehicle, but we can now actually show you how the memory seating works and the control of the side vents here. And this is like this hashtag capacitive PS field, but it works very reliable, let's say. And they also have this printing on top, so you feel something. And then you can, this is like more vent, more fan speed, this had less fan speed. And then this area here on the passenger side, you cannot like press in something.
And here's the door handle.
Ah, yeah, door handle is hidden right here. And on the driver's side here, you set, and then you can click it here for the memory function. This whole field here moves, and this is also where you open or close the vehicle. Ooh, honestly, not a big fan of that one. Here the door handles, flush, integrated, but you can still grab underneath, and then they give you like a real feedback. Also decent door closing sounds. There we go. And then this is here the M50 model. Has a different darker interior styling than in this case. However, here it's all hardpack, so that's not my favorite, honestly. Ambient lighting integration is already here. You can see different colors. We'll also play around with that a little bit more. And here you can see this vent control here. This for this here actually, for this vent. So yeah, maybe a little bit over the top, I don't know. Then the steering wheel, this is here the M steering wheel. This is then with animal source. However, the base steering wheel, the animal-free one, not only because I like animals, I really have to say, this one here is harder. The base steering wheel is plusher, it feels softer, not only on the surface, but also underneath. It has like a thicker dampening. And then here, the seats, these are the Veganza seats, also a high-grade leatherette. The other model had the fabric seats with 100% recycling. And these ones are also very soft, they're also perforated. And both are actually good in comfort, and talk to Leah about that. So comfort wise, I would prefer the fabric seats. Leah prefers here the leatherette seats, so it really depends on personal preference. These ones you can maybe wipe clean easier, the other ones have a better passive cooling, so it's all pro and con. And then the headroom here, by the way, also here, yeah, a lot of headroom left with 189, although this one here is once again opened here with the panoramic roof. You have in general a darker atmosphere here than when you have the M Sport package, and here also with the dark dashboard and so on. But of course the main difference is the steering wheel between the base model and the M Sport pack. And we have here the M button next to the cup holders, and we can of course here also change to the Sport mode, and you can see here this animation. There we go. Now Leah will show us the different ambient lightings when you have the custom settings. It does not work when you are in the sport mode, for example. You have to go to the personal mode, and then the vehicle allows you to individualize the ambient lighting color. Yeah, that's the Leah color.
What is your favorite color?
What did you say? Sorry, the microphone.
What is your favorite color?
Yeah.
Of course, Thomas Blue.
That's mine. Yeah,
that's mine.
And that's
oh,
Leah's.
That's so cute.
Rear seats here, soft and plush on the top part, then hardpack just in the lower one, but overall a good build quality. And also here from the seats, it feels really nice. And when you open and close things, like here, pull this one down, adaptive cup holders, and also the ski hatch here, like this. Everything is really solid. Then in the lower part, big hump here in the middle tunnel, separate client unit for the rear. This is all where I touch though, 2 USB-C chargers. And now comes the big but. The legroom. So this seat is I would be driving. Not everyone is as tall as me, but then there is not much legroom left here behind the seats. Yes, of course, I always drive with steering wheel all the way out. They have a comfortable seating position, but here not too much rear legroom. That's the thing here about the vehicle. Then headroom. This no problem here to the glass roof. A lot would be a little bit less if the shade is actually closed then. Trunk or boot, 570 liters, at least in the pure combustion engine models. The plug-in hybrid will lose a little bit underneath the cover in liter figure. And then here you have a massive top cover. There we go. And you slide it back like this. Cabin trolley also fits in a vertical way underneath, no problem. And then the basic measurements here between the wheel arches. You see here, this is really good. So this is here 1.10 m or 44 inches, so 43, 44 inches. And then here the length is, I mean, it does close probably here or something, so a little bit less than a meter or 40 inches. Underneath, you can put this one here up, and then you can see here in the pure combustion engine model, you have more space underneath, or for example, a replacement tire would also fit there. So that would work. Then you can pull back like this. You see another splitter of the trunk. And I can also reach over here because I cannot remotely unlock the seats. So that is missing, I think. There we go. One. I can also here individually just fold the middle part, or then here. There we go. Overall well usable. And so to the seats as we are driving right here. This is 1.56 m or 56 inches. That's easy to remember. And the height, of course, always very important here. That is really good. So this is like 74 centimeters or 28 inches. And since the hatch is attached right here, and look at these cutouts, so how wide the trunk is also in the upper areas. That is actually well done.
Woo!
Oh, that is 100 kilometers an hour with a 2-liter 4-cylinder. Not too bad. The official figure is just under 8 seconds. The US version, the entry-level 30, X3 30 would be even a little bit quicker. But of course, basically the very same engine we have there, just with different horsepower tune. So considering this the base engine, I think more than enough power, I have to say. Even the Lear meter went off there. Not bad. Of course, probably also because of the flying luggage in the rear, that maybe also triggers a little bit there. And it really feels like a completely different vehicle now, especially because of the different interior and the different steering wheel and so on. And we'll start here with some agile driving here in these corners, and the steering feel is actually quite nice. So it doesn't have a dead zone area, yet it also doesn't get any extreme to the sides. Nice to hammer in the turning indicator, red together with blue M colors. Then here in the ambient lighting, when we are in that sport mode, we have a little bit more throttle delivery, basically power delivery. Also here the RPMs are turned higher. With the S shifting mode, I could even pronounce that further. It's not always useful also to use the S shifting mode. It makes sense when you have a lot of like winding corners, back and forth movement and so on. Other than that, you can as well also just let it on the normal D driving mode and mainly control over the sport mode. Or then if you don't want to change the driving modes there in the screen because it's too complicated, and it is complicated while driving, then for example just use the shifting lever here and then only go to the S shifting mode. So different things you can do with this car or not. Yeah, it's always so cool to hammer in the shifter here. We have the adaptive suspension set now on the sporty tone. In the Sportman, you do feel that. So it is, considering this is, you know, like mid-size SUV, it feels kind of rough in the sport mode. Definitely pronounced the sportiness. Together also with 20-inch wheels, you can get more comfort if you have smaller wheels, of course. And interesting, what isn't? Well, the Tesla would have been quick enough to make the acceleration, right?
There's a car in front of him.
Okay. There's another slower car in front of the Tesla, probably. Yeah. There we go. Yeah.
Golf.
Golf or?
Is it so slow?
No, it's a Polo. I think it's a Polo.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And not such a big engine in there. So like mid acceleration here. It is really rainy and windy outside. Oh, BMW iX. Really rainy and windy outside, so it's actually a good thing to test the noise insulation. And we'll accelerate now up to 100 kilometers an hour. There we go, 60 miles an hour. And the main things, of course, from the upcoming cars here, but I don't have to raise my voice that much. Then we can also go back in the driving mode, for example, to the personal mode. See if that's changing the driving modes while driving is really, really bad. I have to say that. Now the sound is being de-pronounced, so to speak. There's also nothing from the sound actuator and so on. Suspension is also now a little bit forgiving. Do you also feel a difference suspension-wise?
Yeah.
It's really notable.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
an active adaptive suspension where it really changes something when you change the driving modes. It really fits the car way better. Of course, if you do like an Alpine pass or something, maybe go for the sport mode, but other than that, leave it in the base suspension mode, and that's actually it. And here also, for example, when you have like a GPS running or something, this is something I've been criticizing with the BMWs for quite some time now. When you change the driving mode, it stays then in this like this screensaver mode, and you have to actively switch it back to wherever you want to go again, and that's also not a really comfortable thing. Yeah, that goes to the modes.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah, it's kind of weird, right? Or you need an assistant to change things. Yeah, why not? Yeah, and here actually a very likable driving feeling. Space in the cockpit. You have like this traveling feeling here, I would call it that way. And with the adaptive suspension here in the soft mode, it's also good comfort, even though we have 20-inch wheels. Really like the steering setting. Both this new steering wheel design and the animal-free material, it feels really nice. I would actually say even it feels better than the M material. So that's actually really good. You can always use shifting. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Lear proof. Gets the Lear stamp. Yeah, and the steering feel is actually better than in some of the sportier models of BMW, I would say. So I think they really nailed the steering feeling after that. Now, when not so many cars are coming towards us, we can also better test the noise insulation of the car itself. And I think for 100, so far pretty silent. We'll also now jump onto the German motorway, the Autobahn, famous Autobahn. We also try to include as much Autobahn as possible always in our episodes we film from Germany. And the car feels agile, feels relatively light in comparison, I have to say. And even in the normal suspension mode of the adaptive suspension, you really like to steer the car around. It is a fun vehicle, so their promise of driving fun is fulfilled with the BMW X3. And you might think about, yeah, why would they go for an X3 versus an X5? This one here definitely feels lighter, is lighter, and also does deliver you more driving fun. That would be the main reason for me. If you compare it to the BMW X1, of course, they try to put a larger gap now again, so the existing X3 to the new X1, they kind of closed the gap there a little bit. Here now, of course, a completely new interior and so on. The seating comfort is also good, but it's both good in the X3 and in the X1. So here I would say from the suspension is the biggest difference to the X1, that here in the especially adaptive suspension in the comfort setting, you have more suspension comfort than in the X1, but you can of course always tune it with wheel size depending on what you like. So these are just small comments here to X1 to the one side and the X5 to the other side. On the Autobahn, let's go to the... Would you like to do that? Sport? Yay. Hey Leah, sport mode please. Thank you so much. And now like some 90 kilometers an hour to 130, that was. Yeah, I mean, actually I experienced more with this 2-liter 4-cylinder than expected. In the plug-in hybrid drivetrain, it would then also be connected again with the electric power, so they have even more power, at least when the battery is fully or at least half charged or something like that. The 3-liter 6-cylinder we will drive later on. Let's see if we can really have so much more fun with it and how much difference it really does make. But I think this engine size here, although I prefer more cylinders in a bigger vehicle, it still suits the vehicle. It is enough. And here 120 kilometers an hour, 70 miles an hour on the motorway. Also good as for the noise insulation. There's no turbulence from the side mirrors. I'm also looking forward to compare the side mirrors in the M Sport model here, for example. It's all looking pretty good, and it's really smooth ride also on the motorway. But in comparison to maybe other vehicles here in that segment, I feel they still have this tone of sportiness, because I say, hey, it's BMW after all, so it should feel like, you know, sportiness and fun to drive. And I think they also achieve that. It's also giving you a different driving feeling to the X1 in the sense of you feel the size. It's not too much size, but the X1 feels a little bit more agile in the corners, I would say. But then again, as I also mentioned when we were going on the motorway, this one here does deliver you more suspension comfort. Well, and as for the competitors, Audi Q5, meanwhile, it's, you know, like the previous generation is a little bit outdated. Meanwhile, now the new generation is also coming, the all-new Audi A5. We will drive it for you very soon as well. Then we can compare the new generation to that one. And of course, the Mercedes GLC. From these, I feel that BMW again hits one, you know, like this sportiness thing again. Still, it's a good compromise of sportiness and comfort. The GLC has the optional air suspension and brings by that more suspension comfort, I feel. The GLC is also, at the moment, I think one of the best Mercedes vehicles. So inside the Mercedes, Leah nods as well. She also felt it as a, not only as a co-driver.
Rear axle steering.
Yeah, right, she's right. She, like the GLC has rear axle steering. That's of course good for the maneuverability. That's a great word, right? That was pretty quick. Maneuverability. So in the US,
like,
maybe
Massachusetts.
yeah. Or Arkansas. Everyone in Europe says Arkansas, you know. No one says Arkansas. So the thing is that the GLC does offer more tech features in a way, you know. So all have their different emphasis. I would probably call it that way. But overall, is here in this mid-size SUV segment, yeah, once again, a very good performance. Outgoing model to this model, I mean, there are some things that are maybe a little bit worse. Some of the controls, I feel, they're maybe a little bit over the top. But then again, this new modern cockpit makes it a small BMW iX. So if you fancy the BMW iX, this large electric SUV, but say, hey, I don't need an all-electric car, or I cannot charge properly, but I found it cool from the interior. This is like a small BMW iX now, with this new modern cockpit and so on, ambient lighting, a little bit more show effect, and this works very well. So overall, definitely still is, once again, one of the best mid-size SUVs here. It is a very good driving performance. I feel very relaxed also as well. Any verdicts to add from your side?
No, I agree. Me too, yeah.
I mean, Leah, when she was driving with the girls last time in the GLC, she put on like the pink ambient lighting here all the way, and now she can do that in the X3 as well. She can do like some screaming out ambient lighting when she's going out with the girls.
And Thomas was like,
yeah.
Did you drive like that?
Yeah, you girls drove like that. And, of course, everyone was like looking at like three blonde girls driving there with ambient lighting all over the place in the night. Everyone was like, whoa. Yeah, I would have looked as well. So that's the thing. Yeah, but now the big question to you is, would you take this one or the GLC?
The GLC.
Leah would take the GLC. Yeah. Interesting to know. Yeah, that means a lot. I mean, definitely we have a lot of Mercedes versus BMW comparisons, and sometimes the one, sometimes the other wins. Yeah, we also can change the ambient lighting here. That's even more visible at nighttime. That's a little bit weirder to see, right? A little bit confusing to look at it. But yeah, playing with the My modes here, silent is also possible. Oh, now the roof should not close. No, the roof shouldn't close on the camera suction mount there. That shouldn't happen. Yeah.
Maybe no silent mode.
Good to know. No silent mode. Yeah, efficient maybe also. That's also nice, right? Yeah. So ambient lighting wise, this is pretty cool. It does give you something, you know. It is an emotional feature, and I always have to say, why not? Here also in the tunnel, it doesn't get too loud actually, so I'm also happy with that. Pretty cool. I really like the steering feeling. That's one of my main things actually. But now I'm looking forward to, is it really so much different when we're driving the M50? Now the M50. Let's accelerate it out. Woo! Oi. Smartphones are flying through through the vehicle here. Wow. Yeah, that is way more
Crazy.
powerful acceleration than in the base model. Yeah, that's why you would go for the 3-liter 6-cylinder. And some rainy Autobahn driving with the X3 M50, and what we immediately feel is here they did some additional measures here to stiffen up the vehicle, and there's also the adaptive M suspension, and how the base model drove with the adaptive suspension in the sport mode is here, so to speak, the base setting. And when we then go to the sport mode, then it's even stiffer. So then you feel every inch of the motorway, basically. It's not that bad when the road is even and flat and everything, but when there are some bumps, then the sport setting in the adaptive M suspension here in the M50, it's really stiff. But you really feel these gradually steps from comfort to sportiness here. So the M50 definitely, if you appreciate this base setting of sportiness, then want it even sportier on demand. And of course, this 3-liter 6-cylinder is a great engine, best engine that BMW got at the moment for many years. And even if you don't exceed it with the acceleration and so on, it's just feeling really comfy and nice as well when you keep it at low RPM. So even if you don't accelerate it out here in the motorway, it gives you also a sense of calmness, not only a sense of sportiness. Here, by the way, when you press and hold the set button, it's important for our views from EU, then you can deactivate that speed limit warning. So sometimes when you just exceed it by 1 kilometer an hour, then it doesn't beep all the time. So, and here, by the way, the cruise control and everything actually works also quite well in the rain. So we can set it here on the left side of the steering wheel, then we can switch if it's just a normal cruise control or the assisted driving. And let's see, also in these harsh conditions here, keeping me then centralized in the lane. So far, so good. Of course, they use a mix of sensors, not only camera sensors. Big discussion, and if camera sensors are enough. The Tesla shows a very good result with camera sensors only. And again, with fog and so on, the other ultrasonic sensors and so on can make a lot of sense. Some more agile driving. Ooh, when you let go of the throttle, I looked over to you and I go, yeah, so all the different things are just tuned in a more aggressive way here with the M50, definitely. So of course I have to be a little bit careful here because of the wet road, but it's hooking up quite well, of course, with these new tires. Good feeling in the corner, it doesn't lean at all. Nice acceleration out. The all-wheel drive is rear biased, so you always have more power than at the rear, for example. Yeah, and the handling, it's really nice. Wow. It's of course sound actuator, but it also sounds natural, you know. So a good job here, not exaggerated and doesn't sound pathetic or something like that. So wow, that like in the agile driving, handling feelings, the M60 is really cool. I like that. So if you want that one more spice of sportiness, that's definitely then the way to go for. So yeah, plus the 3-liter 6-cylinder. Just the price, you know. Yeah, in the US market, you might say, hey, the extra price is not that large, but in the European market, the extra price for an M60 is just nuts. So there you really have to think twice about that. And fuel economy, if you drive rather efficient, some 8 liters on 1 kilometers, 29 mpg US, 35 mpg UK, maybe a little bit worse. And which engine am I talking about? Rather in general about the X3 with a petrol engine, because my experience, and also comparing it with the sedan models, for example, where I've been driving the same engines, is it doesn't make the biggest difference if you go for the 2-liter 4-cylinder or the 3-liter 6-cylinder when you drive it the very same calm way, because the 6-cylinder you keep it at lower RPM and so on, and then they are not so much more fuel consuming. Maybe then this one here rather in the direction 8.5, and the other one maybe a little bit less. Maybe that's the biggest difference. Sometimes, for example, when you drive it even quicker, then the 6-cylinder can actually be more fuel efficient because once again, in the same situations, it keeps it at lower RPM, but so that you get like a rough estimate. Interesting, by the way, that the mild hybrid technologies are in some cases the same, like the M50. If you go for the X320 or the X330, then they both also have mild hybrid system, so 48-volt board net. However, in the US, the Northern American version, there they use an ISG, so let's say like a less sophisticated mild hybrid system, whereas the mild hybrid system they use in Europe for the 20i is a little bit more powerful and can give you some more recuperation moments. Pricing, Europe, Germany, for example, 58,000 euros. It starts, already not cheap, of course, and then if you go for an M50, you are already at 83,000 euros, plus a couple of thousand euros extra. It gets really hefty. US prices are a little bit lower. It's built in US, plus the prices in the US are without the VAT, and they start there at 50,000 US dollars, and that's of course more attractive. But even more crucial is that the M50 starts at 64,000 euros. So there's not such a huge difference between the M50 model and the other models, whereas in Europe there's a way higher difference. And why is that? The motivation to sell these big petrol engines, pure combustion engines in Europe, is rather low for the manufacturer because of these fleet consumption CO2 regulation. And then they need more electric vehicle sales to get the CO2 fleet down, or the whole consumption of the fleet in CO2. And when they sell in consumption, high fuel engines and so on, they need more margin on that because they have to pay basically a fee to the EU for that. So that is like the reason behind why the M50 is so extremely expensive in Europe and relatively cheap in comparison in the US.